introduce today Priscilla Radice, who is the Chief Executive Officer for Infrastructure Association Queensland. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Peter?
Oh, I'm good. I'll put a little bit of context around us. We started working together at the beginning of the year on an event project, which has been postponed into next year for obvious reasons. However, I guess I really felt like, it's really important for us to check in with our clients and see how everyone's going. And on a personal front, I've kind of missed our coffee chats because that was all part of the fun at the beginning of the year. So I thought, let's just do this and have a chat online. So thank you so much for making the time.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's lovely to see you, and it's great to see you doing this. It's nice to have you check in, and I think it's really important for different industries to be exchanging the learnings across how we're all responding. So very happy to.
And the first question really is, how are you and how are you coping? I guess, you navigating the homeschooling, the everybody's at home now situation?
Yeah. No, we're pretty good. It's interesting. I left quite a big corporate travel role last year. And I went through all of my adjustment for not having a team and working from home and that sense of isolation and being removed from your normal networks last year. So I feel like I've been able to help quite a few people go through this process because I had, it's my normal to work from home, but I can understand that having your work patterns and not having that physical engagement with teams it's really hard. It can be really isolating, but it's amazing how much a video can actually be quite personal. I think we're all realizing that digital's not as lacking in emotion as we thought.
Throughout your career, you've been in various roles where you've been involved in movements for change or catalysts for change, I guess.
Very much so.
So that coupled with that amazing article that you wrote on LinkedIn, which talked about, I've got it here, so let me just say it properly. With enormous change comes extraordinary opportunity, which I think is a sentiment that, I absolutely love. So I guess I just wanted to sort of, ask you, with all the enormous change that we're facing, what is the biggest opportunity in your sector that you see is going to sort of come out of this?
I think in the infrastructure sector, it's kind of linked to sustainability for me. I think community expectations are going to change. I think most people have been really affected by the images of how quickly pollution has receded, how quickly we've got kangaroos in Adelaide CBD. I think community expectations around what's acceptable around growth and economic versus environmental will shift. And with that, we're going to see active transport, green infrastructure, a whole pile of opportunities there. We will, in the immediate term, continue to focus on roads and all of the infrastructure we still need. Don't get me wrong, this isn't about, kumbaya entirely, no one's going to drive anymore or get on a plane. But I think there's an opportunity to really reset what our expectations are that we want to achieve as a society and what we want to our kids to have. I think there's a real opportunity, as they are already doing in the US, to lower speed limits on suburban streets, open up spaces to more active transport, open up spaces that's more kind of outcome-led placemaking design. So I think the days of the car being king were already starting to decline, and I think this will accelerate that, especially in a country like Australia, which is so very car orientated. So I think, infrastructure has certainly been hit, and, we've had unemployment in our sector across mining, employment, nothing like it has in events, tourism, service-based industries. But fundamentally, we have all of the characteristics to be the lifeblood of our economic recovery, and we're seeing that stated at a federal, state and local level. I think all governments understand that the continued support for infrastructure is important.
Within your membership base, are you finding that people are thinking in the same way that you are in terms of opportunity? Is the general vibe one of, that we come out stronger?
It's very diverse. As a membership organisation, IOQ are quite diverse. So we've got legal houses, advisory firms, design house, engineering, construction companies. We represent the whole industry. And so in answering that question, it's really quite patchy and eclectic. So we've got some member companies that love a crisis, are nimble, they're smaller, they've adapted and they're growing, and they've bought new office space and they're hiring people and they're nailing it. And then we have other companies that are really, making people redundant. They're rescaling, they're redoing things. They probably weren't necessarily in the right services at the right time. Everyone's hurting. I think most things are paused at some level. So most companies are certainly, cash flow, how you keep people employed, dealing with employees' mental health. People are feeling isolated. But I think more than isolation, it's actually uncertainty. It's not knowing, do you have a job? What does this mean? But it's quite patchy. But we've just done a survey, and I'll share it with you, Peter. We're just working through the results now. It closed this week. But, what companies without major change feel that, they'll be financially insecure, within different periods of time. And most companies felt that they'd be okay, in 12 to 18 months' time, as long as things started to get back to normal within the next 3 months. Yeah. That if these types of conditions extend to the end of the year, then that percentage that would be in trouble increases quite a lot. But all of those companies said that workplace practices will remain changed forever, and none of them I think 2% expected to go back to the way it was before. And so I think that flow on of change of workplace practices, who's employed, how they're engaged, where they sit, how they enter in. I think there'll be some real societal changes around our patterns of behaviour, our commutes, where we work, how we dial in, and who has what jobs. Because I think you'll have more men actually take up flexible and be with their kids more, because it's going to be more accepted that they can do that. And hey, they probably just experienced something that for some men, we still live in a pretty stereotyped world, has probably never spent this much time at home, which might mean they might just go back to never spending at home, or they might want a bit more of it. And then you'll have more women having access to jobs that they haven't had access to before, because the perception was it was a Brisbane-based job and you had to be in this office, whereas now they can go, oh, actually, you can probably live in Townsville and do this job, and just come down 4 times a year. And so I think the linking of geography to jobs will start to de-link. And you'll have more people working in lots of different places and lots of different things. The other trend that we were seeing before COVID, which I think will become more pronounced, is more people going out and running their own businesses. So these kind of small, porous companies that might be 2 or 3 people working with another 2 or 3 people and kind of running together as a pack, but organising themselves separately. Okay. And I think we'll see a lot more of that. So I think you'll see a lot of people being braver and taking risks around where they play, what career they might choose, what does that look like? But that's more medium term. At the moment, everyone just needs a job. We need some certainty. We need some cash flow. And there's industry, I'm talking from an industry that's been, given a slight punch in the side versus an industry like yourselves, which have been given a face planter. It's a really different space.
Yeah.
That you can talk about a really positive crisis when you're well placed as an industry versus other industries that have a rockier road to recovery.
Well, we've clearly gone over our 3 minutes.
Clearly. I did warn you, I probably couldn't answer one question in 3 minutes.
But I did have one to wrap up on, so I'll throw this one at you. So what is the one thing you haven't missed during your time in ISO, as we're calling it here?
I haven't missed the ironing and school uniforms and the amount of socks and undies and all those other things that go with work and school uniforms every day.
I love it. Yeah.
I haven't missed that.
No. Excellent. All right. Well, we'll finish there, and I'll thank you very much for joining us.
So lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much.